British theme park fans rejoiced this week. After months of staring at some fields and a pile of bricks, the long-awaited announcement of Universal Studios Great Britain was finally made official. Along with the PM's announcement, Universal Destinations and Experiences also revealed new concept art. So what does it tell us? Well, let's take a look at some details that only the most eagle-eyed enthusiasts might be able to spot. With Universal Studios Beijing being the company's most recently constructed resort, and the weather being more akin to the UK than California or Florida, it stands to reason that the new park will share a lot of similarity with Beijing's. Sure enough, starting on the right of the park, we have an area which appears to be eerily reminiscent to Beijing's Minion Land. In fact, it appears as though we may be getting an exact replica of the area. Comparing with the real thing demonstrates just how many recognisable details have been removed or replaced to avoid you and I from taking too educated a guess as to what's in the works from this concept art. You'll notice the iconic shape of Gru's house from the movies nestled into the trees back here that's been replaced in the artwork. But otherwise it's quite obvious that the two areas will be almost identical. Love or hate the annoying yellow Tic Tacs, it stands to reason that the new resort would feature one of the studio's most profitable IPs. Over in the upper left portion of the park, the tropical foliage and brutalist concrete architecture absolutely screamed Jurassic World. Again, any iconic landmarks from the movies have been scrubbed from this rendering, so you won't find any King Kong gates on here. But the most exciting bit for me is the huge show building up in the back. This seems to suggest that we'll be getting at least a version of the Jurassic World Dark Ride in Beijing. That's right, the one that sees you literally chased by a dinosaur. What's more, the Beijing version was supposed to have you ride in one of the gyrospheres from the movie, but Universal's designers ran out of time to properly get the ride system to work, and so fell back on the more standard vehicle design. 10 years later, it's a reasonable assumption that they may have been able to get the design working. Could we see the original groundbreaking version come to the UK? Only time will tell. The green roller coaster to the right of the Dark Ride bears a resemblance to the Flying Dinosaur, a B&M flying coaster at Universal Studios Japan. I mean, tell me this section doesn't look like this moment on Manta at SeaWorld. Seeing that B&M flyers are pretty rare in the world in general, it feels a little odd to me that they'd bring another one here. If I had a nickel for every time one opened in the UK, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Another slightly odd choice, if indeed it does go ahead, is in the amphitheatre at the far end of the park. The ramshackle tin roof and exploding fuel tanks inside definitely look like we're getting the Waterworld stunt show, a staple of the Universal parks. Again, it's worth noting that Beijing also opened with this show in 2021. I get that it's probably spectacular in person, but Waterworld, really? Out of all the classic IPs they could have chosen for their park, I'm Gen Z, but I've seen Back to the Future, I've seen E.T., I've seen Jaws. Waterworld I have no intention of watching.
This better be good.
Game over. Please deposit 40 quarters.
What a rip!
I feel like the execs at Universal are being like Pierce in Community, and Waterworld is their streets ahead. Stop trying to make Waterworld happen, move on. But then again, this could all be academic. This is concept art, it's intentionally vague and perhaps misleading. What could be the bones of the Waterworld show could get dressed up as something else entirely. In the BBC report of the announcement, Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy specifically mentioned James Bond and Paddington Bear as examples of British cinema to showcase to the world through this park. Whether or not this confirms they'll appear in some form, we can't say. But just imagine a Paddington Bear stunt show. Wait, no, sorry, a James Bond stunt show. It makes total sense that they'd want to tailor the experience to the British market, which is far different to the Chinese one. Moving next door, there appears to be some kind of medieval theming. Something big is being hidden from us over here, if you want my opinion. This huge show building nestled into the trees, I don't buy it. In my opinion, the facade, and if I'm honest, the whole surrounding area, has been completely wiped from this rendering. I don't believe this is Harry Potter either. We knew they were going to have Minions. We knew that they were going to have Jurassic World. They know that we know that.
They don't know that we know they know we know.
These guys know what they're doing. This part is being hidden because I think it is something instantly recognizable, something exciting, and something that we've never seen in a Universal park before. So what is it? I have no idea, but we can speculate. Lord of the Rings has been floated as an IP, for instance. Again, only time will tell, but I do genuinely believe that this is something truly unique to this park. Another sneaky little corner is this one down here. Right down here looks to be a small children's area with a couple of flat rides and an indoor attraction. Any recognisable IP has been scrubbed here, but it's reasonable to suggest that this may be themed to the DreamWorks IPs, such as Shrek or Trolls. Not much to say here other than I really want a proper Shrek ride. Not a 3D experience, but an actual ride, please and thank you. Now let's talk about the couple 100-foot tall elephant in the room, which looks to be the park's premier coaster. Sorry B&M, you know I love you really. Going off the concept art, this definitely looks to be an Intamin launch coaster, like the Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure, but this time with multi-pass launches and at least 2 spikes. It also appears to start indoors with a themed launch section, but themed to what? With Velocicoaster, Universal proved that you could have a thrilling and intense coaster whilst also providing an immersive themed experience. The entrance to the coaster is at the head of a small square. Again, our friends at Universal have obscured this section with trees. Some have speculated that this area is in fact none other than Hill Valley from Back to the Future. This would make the silver coloured Intamin launch coaster, that's right, a DeLorean roller coaster. Spitfire, due to open at Six Flags Qiddiya, launches to a speed of 78 miles per hour. Is it that much of a stretch to assume that Universal's engineers have worked with Intamin to get theirs to 88 miles per hour? What a selling point that would be. And imagine the thrill of launching into that layout with Alan Silvestri's score blaring in your ears through the onboard audio. Makes my nerdy little brain happy just thinking about it. Sorry to say this again, but this is all purely speculation. The concept art is intentionally vague, in places anyway, and it's made to give an essence of what's to come rather than be a blueprint. We might be quite surprised by what gets officially announced as and when that happens. Did you notice anything else in the concept art? What things would you like to see come to Universal Great Britain? Leave a like and comment below. Thanks for watching, see you next time.